Hey guys, Robbie K coming back at you with the first video review in a while, and today we have quite a treat for you in regards of, essentially, Captive State, a movie that you may not have seen coming in on the radar, given that it wasn't very well advertised. But nevertheless, Robbie K is back in with another video review, hoping to help you with your movie terms. So let's get started as we go over it. Now, if you're new to the channel, here's essentially what we do. We kind of go over the trailer, put in my quick likes, and then we go through my dislikes, and more detailed views in order to help assist with it. Hopefully we give you some good details, and we kind of go from there. Nevertheless, let's get started. You know that the trend of Aliens is always around the signs of either some type of horror, some type of silent invasion, or of course a action-packed blast fest that the series and genre has done a wonderful job with captivating in the Hollywood era. Well, today, Captive State kind of was a movie that I had no idea which of these genres was going. Part horror? Is it part kind of rundown? Is it part action? I never knew, and the trailers only gave me a little bit of insight when it came to essentially trying to figure out what kind of theme this was going to. Essentially, it involved aliens coming into our world through some means and leading to sort of a state of panic and fear. One that seemed to be alliterated in terms of you didn't know who to trust and you didn't know what was truly lying deep within this typical modern-day world with aliens cohabitating. And we didn't really get the best look at the aliens either. So the question was, what in the world were they doing? Well, essentially, Captive State was supposedly going through the eyes of 1 to 2 people involved, mainly from the trailer. A boy named Gabriel, and of course a detective / sort of high-up inspector looking to try to solve the mysteries of who could be trusted and what the true nature was. And that's what I kind of got from the trailer in terms of what Captive State was about. Boy, was I wrong. In terms of the quick review, Captive State is essentially a nice little surprise in the form of that you get a completely different kind of movie. More of a drama, thriller, espionage kind of movie. It more so takes the point of about 3 different people in this various intertwined, messy world of Chicago, where the aliens have essentially brought order to the world, but in doing so may have other plans come into mind. As a result, there is a group of people trying to essentially rebel, and to do that, they're looking for the means in order to essentially light the fire to get the rebellion revolution started. The question is, how do they go about doing it? It's a movie that is very detail-oriented and very dry. It's a movie that comes in and is actually a smarter approach to the scientific genre than I've seen in a while in terms of science fiction and aliens. It does have a bit of a horror / creepy element to it, but not in the sense of keeping you on your seat, keeping you awake at night, but more of that suspenseful, and by suspenseful I mean kind of intriguing nature of trying to figure out what in the world is going on and how, again, deep all this conspiracy web lies. It's about kind of the hunt, trying to find all parties involved, hunting for their respective goals, while also trying to avoid the ever watchful eyes of these legislative, as they call it, and their various schemes and principles. It's an interesting choice. It's definitely slow, but it's got some smart writing to it. It's got some awesome connectivity to it, and even more so, some surprisingly good twists that you may not see overall coming, with some actually very well thought out connections thrown in between. The only thing is you got to be very paying attention, because this isn't your typical science fiction bang buster. It's got a little more detail and heart and component to it. So in the nice surprise and looking at its categories, this movie is probably looking around a 7, 7.5 in its category, and maybe around a 6.5, 7 for movie overall. I'll get more into that for likes and dislikes, but if this is where you're heading out, thank you again for checking the channel. Of course, always welcoming commentary and sort of looking into getting discussions to kind of help make the movies better and get your opinions on it. Something maybe I didn't see, maybe an angle I didn't look at. Please teach me as you see fit, and I'll do my best to kind of take the criticism and go well. But if you're sticking around, here's a little more into the details of it. So for the likes of Captive State, the first thing is I love John Goodman as an actor. And again, the man who had a career resurgence somehow comes back with, again, a bona fide stellar performance. He's, of course, got that gruffness to it that he's always famous for, but a little bit of emotional detail and some surprising layers that I didn't expect in this kind of role. In terms of the other people involved, for the parts that they played, it worked very well, and I think that there was a good chemistry in terms of the way the setting was brought up. The only thing about it is that, and we'll get into that later, so we'll come off of it, but from what they were limited in terms of how they had to act, they accomplished their goals for me in this movie. The alien dynamic looks really cool. It's got that creepy feel that we love to see most of our aliens hold, while at the same time holding some interesting design and feels that I haven't seen in a while. I guess the way to explain that is we've seen a lot of typical alien anatomy, and they've got this sort of there. But when you actually get up close and personal, there's some surprising, nice choices that they made that gave at least Mary, Mary, my friend, some creeps. While Jason, another person who came with me to see the movie today, he and I both agreed that, there was an interesting choice in terms of their anatomy and defense mechanisms. In terms of it, I gotta say the movie's actually pretty well shot, kind of feeling like a detailed episode of Criminal Minds and Law and Order. It's got that gritty feel, that depressing nature with that gray filter that kind of brings you into feeling the oppression that a lot of this movie has with it. In terms of the writing, as well as kind of the planning out, this is a very smart movie in terms of showing you more of the planning stages of how all this is moving as opposed to the physical action. I guess the way that I would like to sort of say this is if you've ever seen the movie Red Dawn, where you're seeing more of the fighting component of it in the guerrilla warfare. This one's definitely more of the strategic one, looking to find a way to communicate. And the means to which they do it is actually pretty smart, which I won't tell you for fear of ruining anything. But it's very well shot, well oriented, and you get the different perspectives to see different approaches with it. So it's a really cool approach to seeing how the common man handles sort of this theoretical situation, which I most certainly like. In addition to that, I think it was decently paced at parts to really kind of bring it out. Almost like episodes that we remember in these crime shows that really rock the boat, that aren't sort of the generic find the killer and the find the killer filler that, a lot of these things do. But definitely what yours truly liked was just, again, sort of the connectivity and some of the twists that came in. And the fact that you have to pay attention to this movie is a certain major like, because it makes you pay attention, keep your eyes and mind going, and that is probably the really exciting part with it. So then, essentially, though, where do the dislikes come in? Well, one of the things is I like a little more character development than mine does. As cool as it is to get this realistic approach, some of the movie magic that I always like is when you insert a little bit of drama into the mix to try to assist with at least making your character stand out from sort of these carbon copy, very lackluster roles. And I think they tried, and in one case they succeeded. This was John Goodman's character, where there was a little more development to him. But the other guys needed a little more kind of, for one thing, dialogue and integration, as well as a little bit outside of the roles of this overall mission. It's not that it was awful, it's just I kind of would have liked a few more things put in just to be on the safe side. And again, more so to give me characters that were a little more, I guess, grippable to grip onto. Lots of moving pieces, of course, can sometimes be a bit convoluted, and the dialogue is very dry. Sheesh, I can get my words right. So dialogue, I guess, is the way to combine this. It's a very serious one. One of those where you have to listen to a lot of jargon and a lot of just simplistic dialogue. It's very jargon heavy and very much important to it. So that's why it's kind of why I think it was really good to be smart, from an entertainment aspect, you may not want to be paying that much attention to the details. So that's probably something to watch out for in terms of it. Now, in regards to anything else, I can say, and I agree with my friend Jason on this, it was slow at times. Feeling like there was just too much detail in terms of it and not enough bang for the buck to try to get it. This movie is not going to be the most exciting. And as my friend Mary was doing, you might be nodding off once, twice, maybe 20 times as you're trying to power your way through this film. Again, I probably would have liked a little more action to spice things up. That's pretty much the only other thing I can throw at it. But outside of that, though, the movie surprised me in terms of how sort of original a take it was and how you don't really see this kind of approach in the modern day era. Yeah, the pacing's a little off and there's some drier characters to it, but when you get to where the ending is and sort of see what it does, that's where you got to give it a little bit of props in terms of the type of movie it set itself up to be. Again, wholeheartedly still has some areas in terms of balancing, and it's not going to do probably well at the box office just because there's some bigger heavy hitters coming and going, as well as the fact of it's just not very well advertised. So if you get a chance and see this and looking for a little bit of a science fiction crime aspect, I'd give this one a shot. Otherwise, check it out on Netflix when it comes in, or maybe TV if you're still holding cable and DirecTV. Nevertheless, guys, this is Robbie wrapping up with, again, probably 7.5 in its category, 6.5 for movie overall. Until then, next week you'll see more reviews coming. So until then, guys, thanks. Please like, share, support, and help me, make this better. Thanks, guys. Bye.